Join me to paint this easy watercolor bird with a gentle snowfall. The sketch needed for this painting is provided here. You can pause the video and copy it before we start the painting process. I am using a mop brush to paint the background with yellow ochre. I have diluted the pigment with more water to create a soft pastel effect for the bird's background. I'm painting over the entire sketch including the bird to create a cohesive base layer. Instead of a fully filled background, we are creating soft, irregular areas that gives the painting a more spontaneous and natural look. After painting the background, tilt the board slightly to allow the excess pigment to flow to the edges. Then use a damp brush to absorb the collected pigment along the edges to avoid any backruns. The paper is completely dry, so the next step is to paint the bird. I start by wetting the entire bird except for its beak and feet. We will be using wet on wet technique for painting the bird. We will be using only one pigment, that is Payne's Gray. I apply a darker value of the pigment to paint the head, the visible wing and the tail of the bird. When the pigment is applied in a thick consistency, it doesn't spread much and stays mostly in its place. As I apply it near the sketch, you will notice it moves just slightly, creating a natural feathery effect. This works best when the pigment is thick and the paper is damp. If the paper is too wet, the pigment will spread uncontrollably. After painting the tail, I dip the brush in water and release some of the pigment to achieve a lighter value, which I then use to paint the bird's tummy. Next, I'm mixing Crimson Lake with yellow ochre and a touch of Payne's Gray to create a brown shade, which I use to paint the bird's feet. After painting with that brown shade, next I apply Payne's Gray to add a darker value for the shadow on the feet. Next, we have to paint the stump on which the bird is perching. To do this, I'm mixing Crimson Lake with yellow ochre and Payne's Gray to create a brown shade, which I use to paint the stump. After painting the stump, I add Payne's Gray randomly at different spots to create an interesting texture on the wood. Next, using Payne's Gray in a thick consistency, I paint the left side of the stump to give it a three-dimensional effect. Then using the back of the brush, I gently drag it across the stump area to create creases. This allows the pigment to settle in the creases, forming dark lines that give the wood more texture and depth. Now I complete painting the foot of the bird using the dark brown shade on my palette. Next we will move on to the beak and eye of the bird. I use a medium value of Payne's Gray to paint the beak and eye of the bird. While painting the eye of the bird, I am leaving a small spot untouched for the eye's highlight. Once again, I am adding Payne's Gray to the left side of the stump for more depth. After that, I splatter some acrylic white to create a gentle snowfall and also apply to the stump to enhance the winter scene. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more watercolor painting tutorials. See you in another video. Until then, take care and bye bye from Prema.